Don't expect others to bring you happiness or to support you in your journey. Instead, build strong relationships that, as a product of, make you happy and lead to genuine and mutual support. Hi, my name is Pete Kolash, high performance coach and founder of Operating Excellence. I think we can get into a lot of trouble when we bring expectation into relationships. I think expectation is absolutely dangerous. Why? Well, when you expect something to happen, either it does, and in that case, well, you were expecting it, or if it doesn't, now you're really disappointed. Someone or something didn't meet your expectation and you're disappointed. Let me give you an example of how this might play out. So I was in a restaurant, true story, I was in a restaurant, I was walking out of the bathroom and someone was walking into the bathroom. Now, just based on how the door swung and where I was, it made sense that I would go first, hold the door for him and be on my way. But instead, he cut right in front of me, he didn't say a word and then rudely walked away. I was so mad for a good 15 seconds. Why? Well, because I had the expectation of what would happen and how that would play out, and how it played out didn't meet my expectation. Expectation is dangerous. It can get you into a lot of trouble with relationships, and more times than not, it leads to you feeling very disappointed. Now, this leaves us in a very tough spot. Why? Well, our relationships are the greatest predictor of our happiness and our performance. And that's not my opinion, that's not anyone's opinion, it's a fact. There's been a lot of studies around the impact of relationships, and they found that relationships are the greatest predictor of our happiness and our performance. So wait a minute, Pete, you're telling me on one hand that relationships are the greatest predictor of our happiness, and on the other, you're saying don't expect relationships to bring us happiness? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Now, the key is to being intentional with building your relationships. I think too many people have relationships by default. They'll say, oh, this is my childhood friend, or this is my family friend, or this is my neighbor, or this is someone that I work with. And I think that's great. I'm not saying to burn bridges and end relationships, right? I'd be the last person to say that. But if our relationships are the greatest predictor of our happiness and performance, we have to be deliberate, very deliberate with A, who are we surrounding ourselves with, and B, what kind of impact are they having on our lives? Where I think we get ourselves into trouble if you're waiting or hoping or wishing or relying on others to do anything for you, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Instead, be intentional about surrounding yourself with people and building relationships that do that naturally. And I speak as emphatically as I do about this because I've experienced this firsthand, and I used to and still do struggle with this. Right? One thing I always had trouble with is letting go and allowing relationships to develop as they would. I always felt like if someone was a best friend in one phase of my life, then they'd most certainly be a best friend in another. And I think it's noble to have those kinds of thoughts and feelings toward friendship, and I think it's certainly common. But is it smart to carry that expectation? I don't think so. I don't think so. Especially if you're after growth in your life, which I'd imagine the majority of people listening to this video are. Right? I learned that if you have a deep desire to grow, then your growth is going to change you. It's going to refine you. It's going to cultivate you. It's going to shape you. And you'll start to become more of who you are and less of who you were. And as you become less of who you were, when a relationship was at its peak, then that bond and that connection may start to fade a little bit. Maybe they're not as focused on their growth as you are, or maybe they are, but in different directions and toward different goals and toward different things. Either way, the relationship now finds each of you in a different place than it met you. It's not a bad thing, it's not a good thing, it's just different. Do all relationships dissolve with growth? No, thankfully not. I think there are those very rare relationships that as you grow, they support and even complement your growth, and as they grow, you support and complement theirs. You're bound by similar goals and desires and aspirations and dreams, and the thought of growing together only strengthens that relationship, makes it stronger than when it started. And I think those relationships should be valued above anything else in life. I think they are as unique as diamonds. I think they are as precious as gold. Wherever you're headed and whatever you desire, these relationships will not only exponentialize your potential to get there, but they're going to add a layer of fulfillment and satisfaction that is unrivaled along the way. Are these kinds of relationships rare? Yeah, absolutely. Do not be discouraged by their rarity, but encouraged by their allure.